Hi guys, and welcome to my Life as Notebooks 2015 wrap-up. This is my first video of the new Betwixt the Books era where I don't have Michaela here and I just feel so alone. Anyways, so like I said, Michaela and I have already made one video where we talk about our wrap-up for Bibliomancy Book Club and our Betwixt the Books videos, talking about our favorite videos, and our goals for next year for you guys. So this is just going to be for my life as a notebook. So we're going to start off with some numbers, very impressive numbers, kind of, sort of. So this year I read 77 books, which is actually not my goal of 100, which was sad. But what are you going to do? It's been a year for me. That's been really hard. A lot of those have been school books. Because if you've been following the blog at all, you know that my entire life has been my homework, basically, which we'll get to a little bit later. And then I wrote 57 blog posts, which was actually more than I thought. I didn't think until, the middle of the year that I was really trying to blog much at all, and especially the last couple of months I've really been trying, which hasn't turned into all that much, but I do what I can. So in terms of a wrap-up of posts, the beginning of the year, again, this is discounting book club stuff because out of the 57 posts that I wrote, 20 of those were Bibliomancy Book Club posts, and 4 of those were Betwixt the Books posts. So there were a lot of those. But at the beginning of the year, I started posting for actually a class that I was in, a poetics class for my writing major, and the whole feature for the whole semester was that was all I posted. It was called Perusing Poetics, and if you're into my Thesis Thursday post at all, which we'll get to in a minute, those are really cool, and they're for school, so they're a little bit more academic, but if you're into the writing or the theory of writing, they were really cool to write. And especially the post, and that's what I'm going to link in the bottom on my blog post anyways. The wrap-up video was really important, talking about me and the way that I write and read and the way that I talk about reading and writing in class versus the way that I talk about reading and writing in like my personal life, and how it's very different. And so it's really, really interesting journey for me to go on for myself. And then after that, there was a couple of really random posts related to some things that I did over the summer. And one of them was called Where I've Been, Dreams to Reality. And that's a really mushy post about how I spent the summer TAing at a writing camp for high schoolers and how I really refound my own love of writing there. So that was just really important to me and really exciting, and it's really mushy and gushy, but it's linked below again if you're on my blog anyways, because it was just a really good time. And another blog post that I wrote, kind of related to books but not really, was called In Defense of YA, and that was related to a Bibliomancy book club that we had done where Taylor was ragging on YA again, and I really wasn't about it. And I kind of blew up at the end of the video. It was in the Through the Woods by Emily Carroll book club video that we did, and I linked it in the post that I wrote. And I basically kind of blew up, and I yelled a little bit, and I ranted, and so I wanted to create a post on my blog, which I then did, talking about why I love YA even though it's very problematic. So yeah, I really do love that post. It means a lot to me, and it inspired the next new feature that I created for my blog, and that was called Worth It Wednesdays. And Worth It Wednesdays is every Wednesday me talking about a young adult book that's worth it to me, and talking about my favorite books that I've read over the course of my 21 years as a reader. And why they're worth it and why I think they stand out from the pack. I ended up writing 8 of those over the course of this year, and I hope that there are more of those to come because they're really important to me, and I love getting responses to those, people who are like, oh my god, me too! So they're really great, and I like them. The last new feature that I created on my blog this year was called Thesis Thursdays, and this is because I'm writing, as you might guess, a thesis, actually 2, for my major, and this year I was writing a novel while also writing an English thesis. And so I talked a lot more about my novel in these posts because, it was only the one semester thing. Um, and so I talked about being in NaNoWriMo and signing up even though I intended to lose, and then accidentally winning because I actually discovered through the process of attempting NaNoWriMo that I was really more into it than I thought I was, and finishing it, and that was really, really cool. And then I also talked about my English thesis, which centers around Sarah J. Maas's Throne of Glass and female assassin novels. And it's taking over my life, and it'll continue to take over my life next semester, so I'll be talking about that a little bit more. That's actually where I got into more of my reviews, because if you notice, I didn't really review much. I mean, Worth It Wednesdays, those were all kind of mini reviews, I guess. But within Thesis Thursdays, I reviewed a couple of the books that I was using for my thesis, like Poison by Bridget Zinn, which I didn't like, Grave Mercy by Robin Lefevers, and found out that when I first read that, I totally five-starred it. It was really bad. Obviously, Throne of Glass I've talked about ad nauseum. And then I have a review of Graceling by Kristen Cashore coming down the pipe that's actually already scheduled. And hopefully in January I'll review the last book I used for my thesis, which was Seeker by Arwen Ellis Dayton. And yeah, that's gonna be... It was really bad, guys. So yeah, that's basically what I was blogging about this year. Thanks for hanging with me for that. So I'm going to talk about the top 5 books that I read this year. And I actually have 4 or 5 of them here, so I'm going to show them off while I'm talking about them. And in no particular order, they are Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. This is the one non-YA pick that I have, kind of, sort of. It's genre bending and lovely, and it's really well written, and I really, really loved the main character. And I'm trying to get Bibliomancy to do this because I really want to talk about the genre of this book and how interesting that was and just how amazing it is, because I think they'd actually like it. So this is one of them. My second one is going to stand in for 2 books on my list. The first one is Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas, and it's really important to me because I love the Throne of Glass series. And the 4th book, they just keep getting better. I love watching Sarah grow as a writer, which is why I was also really excited to get A Court of Thorn and Roses, which is my 3rd top 5 book of the year. This is kind of a Beauty and the Beast retelling, which is also my favorite Disney movie of all time. And then it's also Sarah, so it's so many of my favorite things all wrapped up into one great book. So it had to make my list. The 4th book, and again, these are not in any particular order, I don't know why I keep numbering them, was The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, which makes 3 books in my top 5 that have the word queen in them. I don't know how that happened, but you know, whatever. I was actually inspired to pick this up by kids at that writing workshop that I talked to you about, who were like, I read Throne of Glass and I really like this too. So I went out with a couple of them to town, found this in the bookstore, so I bought it, and I'm so happy that I did. One of the things that I've really been looking for in books is trope subverters, so things that take all those tropes that I hate and talk about how much I hate all of the time. And this was one of them. I'm not going to tell you why, but it's definitely worth the read and worth the hype that it got, I think. And then the last book, but certainly not least, because if Goodreads could count how many times I've reread this book, I would have reached 100 books read this year, but it's The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Adia, and I'm not sure that's how you say her last name. This is a retelling, or well, kind of inspired by 1001 Nights. Shahrazad is the main character, and I didn't think I was really going to like this as much as I did. I kind of picked it up on a whim. I really liked the cover, but I am obsessed with this love story, and I really hope that the next book comes out soon and that it's only a duology, because my heart can't take this. So You should read it. It's worth it. But yeah, that's my wrap up of the blog and top 5 books for this year. There'll be a bunch of links related to this content on the blog post that I'm going to write. You might be watching this on our YouTube channel, which is fine, but you should definitely go to my blog and then check out all the links to all these things that I'm talking about. Thank you for a great year, and look forward soon to Michaela and I tag teaming a video where we talk about our bookish resolutions and goals for next year. So thanks, guys. See you in 2016.